Hi, I'm Jennifer Posada, and I'm here to talk to you today about a subject that is very dear to my heart, and that is the subject of sacredly sexual priestesses. This is a really broad topic. It's huge and incredibly rich and hard to address in just a video that's a few minutes long, but I did write down some crucial notes so that I will touch on the most important points that I could in the time that I have to share with all of you this incredibly beautiful world of the sacredly sexual priestesses. So the ancient sacredly sexual priestesses belonged to the realm of the religion of the goddess. To be a sacredly sexual priestess was to experience and feel the life force and the beauty of the life force inherent in all things. It was to feel and know that life force. And to feel and know that life force is ecstasy. And to feel it within the body. And often, in many cases, to share that with others. So not in every case, as I'll talk about in a moment. But before I do, I want to say that essentially every priestess was a sacredly sexual priestess. And that is because every priestess was working from a place of that deep knowing and a relationship to that profound life force. Therefore, whether they were not choosing to be sexual with others or even with themselves for some period of time or whatever, they were a sacredly sexual priestess. Now, typically when people talk about sacredly sexual priestesses, they are referring more likely to the countless priestesses who worked with sexual energy in a healing way. So again, this could be done on a walk in the woods, all alone, without ever being overtly sexual. And yes, this could mean taking another individual into a room in the temple and working with sexual energy through sexual interaction. And there were so many ways that this happened. And there were so many different ways that sacredly sexual priestesses worked with the energy that they were so profoundly in touch with. Some of my favorite sacredly sexual priestesses were the nymphs. I love talking about the nymphs and remembering being a nymph because the nymphs had this amazing connection to nature that made them feel, to nature and their own bodies, which were for them a part of nature, right? They still had that full sense of connection. It was a connection that made them feel ecstatic all the time. I like to say that for nymphs, the entire of life and existence in what I refer to as their golden age, before there were any difficulties, in that time, the entire of life was like experiencing an orgasm, varying levels of orgasm. So it was pretty good for them. Now, you can often sort of picture nymphs as just, yes, rolling around on the ground. That definitely did happen, and, being all caught up in pleasure. We don't realize the connection, the fact that these nymphs had full, what we would consider enlightenment. Some of the most enlightened beings I've ever encountered were the nymphs. Full wisdom, absolute access to all knowledge and understanding. They were the original oracles, and it was because they were in touch with this communion they had with this life force, which they thought of as the goddess, as nature, as the earth. Being embodied was a joy for them. And it's something, for the most part, we as humans have lost. And a great deal of that had to do with losing the religion of the goddess. So certainly we want to be inclusive. This was always about having the opportunity to include all life. But again, that wisdom also has been lost. And it is a wisdom that's coming back. So before I go there, one more note. I do refer to the priestesses because they were lineages of women. However, there were at times individuals who were intersexed or transgendered, or what we'd call now genderqueer, who would also fulfill these roles. And certainly there was a place for those who identified as men as well in all of this, but that's a whole other video. So there is a place now, a place for this wisdom, and the first place that there is for it is within us. As we return to the sacredly sexual priestess within, we return to that knowing of that ecstasy, that bliss of embodiment. We return the feminine, for the sacredly sexual priestesses were embodiments of the goddess. And they weren't just, women who sort of hid out in the temple and fulfilled needs or something. They were the leaders. They were the royalty. They were the high priestesses as well. These were immensely powerful women in a way that it's very hard for us to maybe even fully wrap our minds around now. So first we begin by acknowledging and embracing the sacredly sexual priestess within, and there are many ways to do that, and that will be subject for further videos as well. And all of it was always based on self-love. That was the doorway to both intuition and sexuality, which really run together as one stream, one powerful stream of knowing and life force. There are also individuals in the world right now who work with sexual healing, and in the more overt way that many of the sacredly sexual priestesses did. Now, any of these practices can be more difficult without having a context as we once did in a full community, but those communities have formed and are forming. So, again, most important focus, how can I bring forth the sacredly sexual priestess within me? How can I make room for pleasure, for loving my body, for re-embodying, for self-love, and so much more. So stay tuned for other videos on the subject, and if you like this video, get on my website at jenniferposada.com. Definitely get on my email list because that's where I send all my very best goodies, and maybe join me in a course. I would love to see you there. I hope you'll have a beautiful, juicy, sexy, exquisite day.